Anna loved adventure. From a young age, she was always the one to wander off the beaten path, curious about what lay beyond the horizon. Her friends often joked that she had a nomadic spirit, always yearning for the next great discovery. She traveled the world by herself, always looking for new and exciting places. Her camera was her constant companion, capturing the essence of every new destination. From bustling markets in Marrakesh to the serene temples of Kyoto, Anna's journey was a tapestry of diverse experiences. She liked to find hidden spots, places most tourists didn't know about. These were the places where she felt most alive, where the true spirit of a location revealed itself. Whether it was a secluded beach in Thailand or a hidden alleyway in Venice, Anna had a knack for uncovering the world's best-kept secrets. She loved hearing stories about old ruins and secret paths. Local legends and folklore fascinated her, and she would often spend hours listening to the tales of the past. These stories added a layer of depth to her travels, making each destination more meaningful. This time, her travels took her to the Carpathian Mountains. The rugged beauty of the landscape captivated her, and she felt a sense of peace as she hiked through the dense forests and rolling hills. The Carpathians were a place of mystery and wonder, and Anna was eager to explore every inch. While in Bucharest, she spent time in local spots learning about the city. The vibrant energy of the city streets, the aroma of freshly baked pastries from local bakeries, and the friendly smiles of the residents made her feel at home. She visited local markets where she tasted traditional foods and bought handmade crafts. One night she met an old man with wise eyes. He had a presence that commanded attention, and his stories were filled with the wisdom of a life well lived. They sat in a cozy pub, the dim lighting casting a warm glow on their faces as they talked late into the night. He told her a story about a hostel high in the mountains called the Lantern. According to him, it was a place shrouded in mystery, known only to a select few. The Lantern was said to be a sanctuary for those seeking solace and a deeper connection with nature. He said it was a place where you could escape the modern world and feel close to nature. The hostel was nestled in a remote part of the mountains surrounded by breathtaking scenery. It was a place where time seemed to stand still and the worries of the world melted away. Anna wrote down the directions, feeling excited. The thought of discovering such a hidden gem filled her with anticipation. She imagined the tranquility of the mountains, the crisp air, and the sense of freedom that came with being so far from civilization. She didn't know this hidden place would soon become a scary nightmare. As she set off on her journey, she had no idea of the challenges that lay ahead. The path to the Lantern was fraught with unexpected dangers, and Anna would soon find herself in a situation that tested her courage and resilience. The trip was long and hard. Anna had been traveling for days, her body weary from the endless journey. The road seemed to stretch on forever, a never-ending path that tested her resolve. She had left the comfort of her home, driven by a mysterious letter that promised answers to questions she had long harbored. The letter spoke of a place called the Lantern, hidden deep within the Carpathian Mountains. It was said to hold secrets that could change her life forever. The old man's directions took Anna deep into the Carpathian Mountains. The landscape around her changed dramatically as she drove further into the wilderness. Towering trees and dense forests replaced the open fields, and the air grew colder and crisper. The mountains loomed in the distance, their peaks shrouded in mist. Anna felt a sense of foreboding as she ventured deeper into the unknown, but she pressed on, determined to reach her destination. Good roads turned into rocky paths, making the journey even more challenging. The car's tires struggled to find traction on the uneven terrain, and Anna had to navigate carefully to avoid getting stuck. Eventually, the rocky paths became too treacherous for the car, and she was forced to continue on foot. The rocky terrain was difficult to traverse, and each step seemed to sap her strength. But Anna was determined to reach the Lantern, no matter the cost. Then into small trails hidden by the thick forest. The path was barely visible, obscured by thick foliage and overgrown plants. Anna had to push through the underbrush, her clothes getting caught on branches and thorns. The forest seemed to close in around her, the trees forming a dense canopy that blocked out the sunlight. It was as if the forest itself was trying to keep her from reaching her destination. But Anna pressed on, driven by the promise of answers. Finally, as the sun began to set, making long, spooky shadows, she arrived. The forest was bathed in an eerie orange glow, and the shadows seemed to dance and flicker in the fading light. Anna felt a chill run down her spine as she approached the clearing where the lantern was said to be. The journey had been long and arduous, but she was finally here. She took a deep breath and stepped into the clearing, her heart pounding with anticipation. The lantern was a lonely building against the darkening sky. It stood at the center of the clearing, its dark silhouette stark against the twilight sky. The building was old and weathered, with ivy creeping up its walls and windows that seemed to stare back at her. A sense of unease settled over Anna as she approached the building. It was as if the very air around it was charged with an ominous energy. But she had come too far to turn back now. An old woman with a wrinkled face greeted her. The woman stood at the doorway, her eyes fixed on Anna with an intensity that made her shiver. She was dressed in old, tattered clothes, and her face was lined with age and wisdom. There was something unsettling about her presence, but Anna couldn't quite put her finger on it. The woman seemed to be expecting her, as if she had known all along that Anna would come. Her eyes had a strange, unsettling shine. They seemed to pierce through Anna, seeing into the depths of her soul. There was a knowing look in those eyes, as if the woman held secrets that Anna could only begin to fathom. The intensity of her gaze made Anna feel exposed and vulnerable, but she couldn't look away. It was as if the woman's eyes held a magnetic pull, drawing her in and holding her captive. The air inside felt heavy and silent. As Anna stepped into the building, she was struck by the oppressive atmosphere. The air was thick and still, and the silence was almost deafening. It was as if the building itself was holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. The interior was dimly lit, with shadows lurking in every corner. Anna felt a sense of unease as she took in her surroundings, but she knew she had to keep moving forward. "Welcome to the lantern," the woman croaked. "You are expected." Her voice was raspy and filled with an eerie calm. Anna felt a shiver run down her spine as the woman's words echoed in the silent room. She had come all this way, driven by a mysterious letter and the promise of answers. Now, standing in the dimly lit room with the old woman before her, she couldn't help but wonder what lay ahead. The journey had been long and hard, but it was far from over. The lantern held secrets that Anna was determined to uncover, no matter the cost. Anna's room was small, with just a few pieces of furniture. The bed, though simple, looked inviting after a long day. A dresser stood against the wall, its surface bare except for a single flickering candle. The room had an air of simplicity, almost as if it was frozen in time, untouched by the chaos of the outside world. The walls were painted a soft, muted color, adding to the sense of calm that pervaded the space. Despite its modesty, the room felt like a sanctuary, a place where one could escape and find solace. A single window looked out at the thick forest. The trees stood tall and imposing, their branches swaying gently in the night breeze. The forest seemed to have a life of its own, whispering secrets to those who dared to listen. The moonlight filtered through the leaves, casting eerie shadows on the ground. It was a beautiful yet haunting sight, one that made Anna feel both captivated and uneasy. She couldn't shake the feeling that the forest was watching her, its dark depths hiding untold mysteries. A strange quiet filled the air, only broken by the creaking of the old building. The wooden floors groaned under the weight of time, and the walls seemed to whisper their own stories. The silence was thick, almost tangible, wrapping around Anna like a shroud. It was the kind of silence that made every sound, no matter how small, seem amplified. The occasional creak of the floorboards or the distant rustle of leaves outside was enough to send shivers down her spine. It was as if the house itself was alive, watching her every move. She went to explore. The common area, dimly lit by a fireplace, was empty. The fire cast long, dancing shadows on the walls, creating an atmosphere of both warmth and unease. The room was filled with old, worn furniture, each piece telling a story of its own. The air was thick with the scent of burning wood, a comforting yet haunting aroma. As Anna walked through the room, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was not alone. The flickering flames seemed to whisper secrets, their crackling voices filling the silence. She felt uneasy. The silence wasn't peaceful, it felt like something was about to happen. Every creak, every rustle seemed to carry a hidden meaning, a warning of sorts. Anna's heart raced as she tried to make sense of the sensations overwhelming her. The room, though empty, felt crowded with unseen presences. It was as if the very air was charged with anticipation, waiting for something to break the silence. She couldn't help but feel that she was being watched, that eyes were following her every move. Later, she met a young couple by the fire. They whispered about strange things happening, weird noises, and a feeling of being watched. Their voices were hushed, as if they feared being overheard by unseen ears. They spoke of shadows moving in the night, of whispers that seemed to come from nowhere. The couple's eyes were wide with fear, their hands trembling as they recounted their experiences. It was clear that they were genuinely frightened, their stories adding to the growing sense of unease that Anna felt. Their stories made Anna even more anxious. She couldn't help but feel that there was some truth to their words, that the house in the forest held secrets that were better left undiscovered. The flickering firelight cast eerie shadows on the walls, making the room feel even more oppressive. Anna's mind raced with thoughts of what could be lurking in the darkness, of what might be watching her from the shadows. The sense of dread was almost overwhelming, making it hard for her to breathe. She knew that she had to find out the truth, no matter how terrifying it might be. Night brought more fear. The forest outside her window was a black hole. The silence was now filled with the sound of rustling leaves and howling wolves. She couldn't sleep. Footsteps echoed in the hallway outside her door, slow and steady. They would stop right outside her room, then start again. Every creak of the floorboards made her jump. Later in the bathroom, she saw her reflection in the mirror. For a second, she thought the face looking back wasn't hers. Section 5. Escape into the dark. Anna felt a rush of panic. She had to leave. She grabbed her bag and ran out of her room and down the hallway. She burst out of the hostel into the cold night air. Behind her, she heard the old woman's voice calling her name, a calm whisper against the howling wind. She ran into the dark forest, branches hitting her face. She felt like she was being chased, like unseen eyes were watching her. After a long time, she ran out of the forest and onto a dirt road. She saw the lights of a village. She felt a wave of relief, but she was still scared. The villagers, woken by her knocking, let her in. They listened to her story with worry and something else in their eyes. Pity. The innkeeper, a kind old woman, told her something shocking. "The lantern," she said sadly, "burned down years ago. No one has lived there since." Anna felt a chill. She had been there. She had seen it, felt it. The creaking floors, the cold air, the old woman's eyes. It all felt real. But when she checked her phone, the photos and notes she took were gone. It was like the lantern never existed, except in her scary memories. Back in Bucharest, she couldn't shake the feeling of unease. The mountains, the hostel, the terror. It all felt like a bad dream. Then, the messages started. Emails from people she didn't know, all telling similar stories about a remote hostel in the Carpathian Mountains. A hostel called The Lantern. Each message had the same scary details, the same feeling of dread. Was she going crazy, or was something else happening? The messages were never signed. They just appeared in her inbox like whispers, each one a scary reminder. Anna stopped traveling alone after that. The open road, once exciting, now felt scary. The memory of the lantern, a mix of real and unreal, stayed with her. She would never know the truth about that night. Was the lantern real, or was it all in her head? The question remained, a scary reminder that some mysteries are better left unsolved.